What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema.
Mr. James Shoot.
.com. And we have potentially the very last time we're ever going to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Logan.
Yes, and this is obviously coming to the Chasing Cinema channel very, very early, about 2 weeks early, because this movie actually opens March 3rd, but we are doing a very early review, so I hope you guys are able to enjoy it. As usual, me and Shu review a movie like this. We'll talk about it, and then we'll do kind of a spoiler section, which I definitely think we need to do here. Logan, let's go to X-Men Apocalypse real quick. Let's rewind the clock. How did you feel about X-Men Apocalypse? I don't really remember.
Days of Future Past I absolutely loved. I was like, all right, the return of Bryan Singer.
Yes.
The return of X-Men.
Yes.
I'm jacked. And then Apocalypse came down.
Yeah. Apocalypse was not good. Very mediocre.
Yeah, it was. I'm exaggerating how bad it
memorable.
was. But I only watched it one time and that was it. And I have it on my iPad right now. I've never watched it once. That's how good it is. I have it literally if you watch right now.
And how do you feel about the actual Wolverine movies on their own? Obviously, the first one's not good.
My favorite Wolverine of all time is, or there's only been, my favorite one, Wolverine was the last one with
Wolverine.
Tao Okinawa or whatever when he was in Japan. Mm-hmm. I actually really like that one.
Which a lot of people do. I was kind of on the fence about it.
I really liked it. The bad guy was stupid, but I really liked it. Silver Samurai.
But but it doesn't top the X-Men. How much you like the X-Men movies?
Honestly, I love the X-Men so much, but none of the X-Men films for me have really been hits. The first one and second one were good, but I've never revisited them.
I think you should revisit them, because 1 and 2 really hold up really well.
Part 3 is an absolute travesty, and the way they killed Professor X was just like, ugh.
The Wolverine is...
Wolverine,
what was it? X-Men Origins?
X-Men Origins Wolverine. No one in the world likes that. Deadpool, that's a whole other subject. Another time, we ain't got time for it. And it wasn't good. And then
we had First Class, which I think is, I would argue, my favorite of the franchise.
Yeah, see, even the First Class for me was just like, okay, it was serviceable. It was an X-Men movie. But Days of Future Past, I don't know, man.
I really enjoyed Days of Future Past too. Going into this, knowing that even though I do enjoy some of the X-Men movies, and they are kind of hit and miss at this point, with Apocalypse, it's like every other, good or bad. The Wolverine movies haven't been particularly my favorite, but I am kind of obviously invested in this character that has been building for the past 16 years. Logan as or Hugh Jackman as Logan or Wolverine has been something that I've been, we've both grown up
16
with.
years.
Yeah, it's been, I think 2001, I think X-Men was. So, we have nearly, more than half of my life of just knowing him as that character.
And he's like the longest person to
play a character.
Yeah. So, just mad props to him.
And then we have Professor X.
Patrick Stewart. I love him.
Stewart, yeah. So, this is kind of the culmination of a lot of work. So I'm hoping that this movie is the send-off that they've been promising, and I think the trailers have really been selling me. Even though Hugh Jackman looks like Mel Gibson in the trailer. But anyway, I'm looking forward to this movie, and I hope it's really good. So I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. Until right now.
Okay.
So go on.
Okay, so
they'll have to wait and find out. The audience.
Because you were asking me when we got out what I thought, and you were comparing to Lego Batman's like, which one do you like better?
Yeah,
and then I was saying they're completely different films, but this movie, I don't think you're gonna leave this movie jacked up. You're not gonna be like, oh yeah, because I don't even think that's the intention of this film. This movie was just it was so sad. You see Wolverine living this long and going through this pain, and it was just sad.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the film a lot though, and is it my favorite movie of the year so far in only the 6th week of 2017? Probably. Probably. If it's not, it's right there. But
if it's not, it lost to Lego Batman.
I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah.
Because Lego Batman, I enjoyed so much, but it's just jokes and jokes and jokes, and I liked it and I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't. I don't know how
No, it didn't have that kind of emotional depth. And obviously Lego Batman has been building in our minds for 16 years. Like I said, that's also a big thing about this, is that we've been, really kind of taking in this character for so long.
Yeah, but the way they portrayed X-23, oof, she's awesome. And if, I don't know how they're going to do this, but it appears Fox doesn't even care about timeline and they don't care about continuity.
I think they have gotten themselves in such a hole that they're just kind of like, let's let it go.
Whatever, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with.
Fans are going to eat it up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, because this movie's in the future, so they are ahead of the new Jean Grey we have and all that. So,
which I believe in this one it's 2029.
Yep.
Did they say 2029?
Yep.
So we are even further in the future.
Yeah, because right now in the current X-Men world, the new Jean Grey, she just said that we're gonna take another 10 years.
Yeah.
So we're about to be in the 1990s, right?
In the next
we're
one,
about to be in the 1990s. So that's
I believe
30
the next
years
X-Men,
behind. So I don't. It won't even make sense, but whatever. But the X-23 girl, and that girl as an actress, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah,
Does she speak English?
I don't know if she speaks English. I'm not familiar with her. I don't know if she's in anything else, but she was really. I think she was honestly the heartbeat of this movie.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
She really kind of brings this interesting dynamic with him. I would say this is my favorite Wolverine movie. I don't think I liked it as much as some of the X-Men films, but yeah, I do think it was the best Wolverine movie. And going back to Lego, the kind of the comparison, and these aren't really too hard movies to compare. But I think I really enjoyed Logan, and I kind of appreciated where we went. But I don't think the movie really kind of hit me home. There are a few moments. There are some really, really strong moments that I think X-23 and Logan share, and I think that are really, really strong. But I think there is a lot of stuff in the movie that could be cut. But in that same sense, there's a lot of great action. I think seeing
a lot of good action in this one.
A lot of really, really great stuff. There's some really great stuff from Hugh Jackman. I know the whole thing is he's kind of getting older. He's kind of wanting to do something, kind of leave that role behind. But I'm telling you, I would never think he'd be. He was prepared for this. And if you were to show me this, I would think he'd be ready for another, 4 or 5 movies because he's on it. But unfortunately, he wants to go do something else. So action-wise, great. But I feel like there is some excess in this movie. We could have cut. We could have made tighter. I think that there is still kind of that dreary feeling of X-Men where we kind of always have this very dramatic undertone that sometimes feels forced. And though this movie, the big thing about this also is that it was rated R. Like Deadpool kind of.
And they took advantage of it though.
They did, but some of it felt shoehorned. In my opinion, I feel like the cursing, I feel like they kind of wrote in the cursing, and then some of the violent, bloody murders feel like they're just there because it's a rated R movie and because they wanted that R. And most of that, especially kind of in the very beginning to me. But this is Logan like you've never seen him, and I think a lot of fans are going to dig that. But to me, some of it just kind of felt shoehorned because they wanted that R. They wanted that to be part of the marketing of this movie.
Just to piggyback, you said earlier that the movie didn't quite hit home, or whatever. And yeah, I would actually I can't say I loved this movie, and it had nothing to do with the dreariness. That's a great word too. It was a little dreary,
yeah.
And it was a sad movie, but there was a
triple, but it wasn't.
Yeah, the ending wasn't just it just went bam, one more just boom hit me, but. I enjoyed the movie a lot. I definitely think that if you're an X-Men fan, that this is going to be a send-off to Mr. Hugh Jackman. And that's not a spoiler.
And I think that it's a hump situation where I think the opening is strong, and then I think kind of maybe after the first 10 minutes, for the first 30, 45, it's kind of it's not as strong. But I do think the movie picks up itself in the final act. And there's some really heavy emotions there. And I will say that I think that the very last shot of this movie was probably one of my favorite closings of an X-Men movie. I think that the ending scene was really, really strong. But a good movie, I think that they're, obviously working with the character for so long, that emotion is there. But I do think that this movie kind of just sat a little bit too long and just maybe overstayed its welcome in the middle. But still a solid movie. I didn't not like it. I did get emotional in some points. I think there were some really great strong moments, but overall I didn't love it. So I think that was, kind of a disappointment that I didn't feel that at the end. Like you said, even movies that are very depressing and sad, you might not be jacked after or pumped up, but at least it's kind of gotten you on this emotional hold where Logan was like, oh yeah, okay. Maybe because, I guess now we should go on to spoilers. Fair?
Yeah.
You got anything else? Okay.
Yeah,
so let's move into spoilers.
We're doing spoilers. I would recommend you go over there.
Yeah. So spoilers. I think some of the best action I've seen in an X-Men movie when it comes down to Logan versus Logan. I think that is some of the craziest stuff ever. And like that moment when that is revealed and that's what's going down, it is unbelievable in the way that they're going at it. And then you're like, oh man, this is this is one of the greatest action sequences in X-Men. And then you're like, oh wait a minute, no, this girl, X-23 and Logan, or the fake Logan, X-24, is like even better. Like the fact that this girl can just be so strong in her action, like when she needs to be dramatic, she's on. When she needs to be a BA and like one of the coolest characters, yeah, it is unbelievable how she could change like that. Like I said, she's really the heartbeat of the movie, because when Professor X meets his demise, which I didn't like, because it feels rushed and it feels kind of mulled over. But in that process, there's this really beautiful moment where she reaches out to her father and grabs his hand, and for a moment he kind of takes that in. He accepts what's happening as he's buried Charles, and there's just like this really small moment of like, this is kind of everything that he's ever wanted. Like, granted, his father figure, this person who has led him, has died, but he has someone. And then he snaps out of it and he rips his arm away from her, and it's like, God, like this character has just been through the ringer, and I just feel for him so much. Fast forward to later, the ending, of course, and I think this is why this movie might not have hit for us, because we kind of all know where we're going to the end of this movie. I think we all know that Logan is going to die, and I think we all know that this is the end of Logan, and I think that we've prepared ourselves too much for it. Or I think it still lands. Like, I got emotional at that part, and especially, at the end
I knew she was going to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew, but...
Well, like, the moment she went back, I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. And then the way they closed that, when they closed... Did you read it, or you just guessed it? You were saying?
Like, that has to... They're good. They have to take that across.
But the moment they do that, and then they kind of close on that, I thought was just like a really beautiful moment. And like just her reaction to that being her father, and like her kind of understanding. There's also another great moment where she is talking to him, and she's kind of like, this is where their relationship's kind of opened up, and Logan kind of tells her, the tragic Logan character goes, everyone that I've ever cared about gets hurt. She goes, well, then I'll be fine, because just showing like, you don't care about me, you don't love me, and that's all kind of brought in full circle. And I think I'm surprised that didn't hit me more, even as emotional as I was. I think it should have hit me harder. But overall, I think all those moments were pretty strong, except Charles Xavier's death. I didn't think that hit as hard as it should. I mean, that's a major, major character. And granted, we've seen him die before. And this
the worst killing, and
and there's probably
I was genuinely mad.
This probably will be the last time we see Charles Xavier.
Well, Patrick Stewart said just at the time of this recording today, he's like, Hugh Jackman might be done,
but I'm not.
done.
So we'll probably see him again.
Meaning he wanted to do more.
That death didn't feel earned. That death didn't feel strong. But I'm sorry, I kept going.
No, you're good. I had only two complaints about this movie, and this is probably why it's not. It's a great film, and it's not. I loved it.
Yeah.
As you know, I love to say about films.
Yeah.
As you know, I love to say that. Professor X's death. I love Patrick Stewart. I love Jean-Luc Picard, and I love Professor X. And I know that James McAvoy has done an excellent job.
Yeah.
But no one, I don't think, will ever make me believe anyone is Professor X other than... Like, I remember when I first heard that Professor X was going to be played by Patrick Stewart in 2000, right away I said, yes! Granted he's just bald, but
you watch Star Trek, so you kind of had that, yeah.
TNG all day long. So, you see X-24 move over Professor X and then stab him, and I was like, that's it?
Yeah.
And then Wolverine...
And it's because we don't feel it. Like, we knew, like, the moment we kind of see this character, we know it's not Logan. And, like, I felt that was, they teased that for a little bit, but we kind of knew that was happening. But then it just happened, and it didn't feel really
I would have
sudden.
preferred it if it was in the middle of fighting.
Okay.
Or something like that. Just not hit... But, I probably wanted to just start crying when he said... That was probably the best night I've ever had in a very long...
Well, that's what I was going to say. Patrick Stewart, I haven't said that, but he's really good in this moment. He has like 2 or 3 moments where it's like really hard, and he's like, I don't deserve it. Like, that's what you were just talking about. And, and then he's... Even that moment when he's talking about Shane, which is a major influence on this movie, an old Western film, is really, really strong. But I think the problem was the moment where he is killed, he's stabbed, and then Logan actually carries him out. And we have that moment where it's like that final goodbye, and it's like, oh man, this is happening. There's so much action going on. There's so many other things going on that we're kind of paralleling back and forth. So it's kind of taking away from that moment of that between him and Logan. But that moment is like he kind of takes his last breath, and then we get a shot of Logan looking over our shoulder, or like looking over his shoulder. That dude, like that, Hugh Jackman is a damn actor, because he looked furious, and like I could feel that anger and just wanting to rip someone's face off, and he literally does that, which is pretty incredible.
And another thing too is, Professor X is a little senile in this film.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's driving him nuts. And I loved it when
nice Taco Bell plug in the beginning.
Yeah, I loved how his daughter was being taken away, and then he had to go upstairs to see Professor X. He had to make a decision.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have to, like, Professor, that's my dad.
Yeah.
That's my. I have to check on him first.
Yeah.
That he has to, even if that means the girl's gonna get kidnapped, which he didn't know that wasn't not gonna happen.
Yeah, because he essentially gets lucky, which is a pretty, it's also a very telling moment, because he's this character who's trying to become a father, but isn't ready to let go of his father. Like he's not ready to be a dad because he's still a son. And I mean, like those are really good moments in the movie, but they don't hit as hard as we're kind of describing them, I don't think. And then how did you feel about the end?
And then my second thing I was just I was fine with, just it didn't smack me, was when Wolverine just is done, and he gets buried, and it was just the scene where I'm in the theater, I'm just like, damn it, it's our last time, potentially, even Deadpool 2 maybe, but I'm just watching it, I'm genuinely just like, dang it, I'm like mad, because I love these two characters. And when she took the cross and turned it into an X, I loved it.
Yeah.
And then these
but it didn't hit. And I think for me, I think it was because like I got emotional in that scene, but I think I was emotional not because Logan died, but because of her reaction and the fact that she just lost her father. And I think that's pretty telling. Like had that girl not been there, I don't think I would have been as upset when Logan died. And I should be, because this is, like I said, a character we've been around for 16 years, and I just think because we all knew where it was going, and he was like struggling the whole movie, which kind of was really tough to watch too, because you're like, man, this is Logan, like where are you in here? And he's just kind of like an old man with arthritis, kind of running around. But yeah, I mean, I really think there is really good things in this movie, but maybe its execution wasn't as strong as its message and theory and themes. Like I think me and you took a lot from it. That's really good, but when executed on screen, it doesn't hit as hard as it should.
Yeah, and so I'd always do 1 through 10. For me, I was, because I've been thinking about this for hours. And I'm like, what did I really feel about it? Thinking for me like a 7.5.
Yeah, I would.
I think for you that would be like a 2.5.
No, yeah, I think 7 or 8. I would personally, I would give this movie 3.5 out of 4 stars.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it was perfect enough to give 4, but I do think it was a really good movie, and there's really good stuff in there, and I think it would benefit from seeing it again too.
Yeah, maybe I'll feel different when I watch it with the public.
Oh yeah, that's true. We did have a very small audience, so the reaction wasn't as big. But I also think that being that intimate, especially with seeing these characters pass away, was kind of a good thing. So I am interested in seeing it again. I do think it's a great movie.
To watch the movie. 7.5, 8 maybe, and 10. I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, that's going to wrap it up. You have anything else to say? Anything about that? I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Even right now I'm like sad talking about it, just because that movie was just a sad movie.
It is sad, but I think it kind of led us on so much that we kind of been waiting for it and expecting it. And
but even from the trailers too, they're not lying to you.
No.
The trailers also are just very...
I think this movie, really was supposed to be kind of about Logan and X-23.
And it was.
She stole the show, and I think that moment that you see on the poster where she grabs his hand is really like the pinnacle and the best part about the whole movie.
Love it. ChasingSomeone.com is known as...
the film lovers website.